Welcome to the Mark Attwood Show, Adventures in a Cosmic Suit. How are you? You doing well? Good. Before I start, as usual, please click the links in the description below because that's where my email list, most importantly, is. And it'd be great if you get on there. Just because, how long do these channels last? I don't email that often, but when I do, it's just to make sure you're up to date with stuff because I don't want you to miss anything. Now, today I am joined by a very interesting lady in Croatia called Susan Ashley. Hello, Susan.
Hi, Mark.
See, I asked you how to introduce you, and I just went with lady in Croatia instead of spiritual healer.
That's perfect. It's perfect.
Well, English lady from Australia in Croatia.
That's right. Dancing all around like the rest of us. You know, I get a lot of messages where to be, what to do, and I just follow it. I surrendered myself to God a long time ago.
Oh, yeah. It's a very good thing to do.
It's a very powerful thing to do too. Well, you know how it is. You get to your knees and then you say, please, God, something happens, it takes over you.
Yeah, that's a recurring theme with everybody that I've met in the last couple of years that's doing that. You have to be on your knees at some point.
Yeah, you do. And I think you need to get everything taken away from you, which seems to be the theme for a lot of people at the moment. They're having a lot taken away from them to refine themselves again. And I think that's really important. Yeah. This untangling from consumerism and from all the messages that we get constantly is very important at the moment.
I feel very untangled from the system. But it is like living in two realities at the moment. You know, on one hand, I'm talking to stars and trees and UFOs and blah blah blah, and then the next minute I'm in the shop and there's people walking past me with masks. I'm like,
that's crazy. It's crazy. But I feel the same way. Everyone I know feels they're in between these two worlds, and I think it's because we've kind of disassociated ourselves because we understand the darkness that's out there. We understand that continual message, and we're literally creating the new earth. That's what people, you and I, are doing, and we're creating that foundation. We're the building bricks of it. Years ago, I walked the Camino, across Spain.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in the year 2000. I walked the Camino, and I got a message very strong that I was bringing through the bricks, basically, of 5D.
Interesting.
You're walking underneath the Milky Way. You're walking on that ley line. It's a very interesting walk. And again, you surrender yourself because it's full on. It's full on.
Yeah, I mean, it's been going on for a long time. This process. I feel like I've got it going on like a subroutine in the back of my head. So I'm picturing the new world, and I keep getting flashes of something, and I'm like, whoa, that's amazing. And I had one about half an hour ago, and I was like, oh, this is going to be really extraordinary. But you got in touch with me because you've been working with SRA victims for 25 years.
35 years.
35, sorry. You don't look old enough. 35 years. Survivors. I should say survivors, not victims. Apologies to anybody watching that gets offended by that. It's just a tick. And that has given you great insights into the darkness.
Yeah, and I'm seeing it. Okay, so before it used to be hidden. Right? We all knew it, well, not all of us, but a lot of us knew it was there, but it was hidden in the background, just silently there, but going on. They're not hiding it anymore, Mark. It's full frontal.
Yeah. Well, did you see Glastonbury at the weekend?
I mean, I can't believe what goes on.
It's unbelievable. The Paul McCartney, Billy Spears, Shears, sorry, with out on stage with a the blue and yellow flag, shall we say, and the rainbow flag in full motion. I mean, if anybody is in any doubt that he was created by the Tavistock Institute and is working for satanic forces, then, you know, it's right there. And they've got this pyramid stage and the giant owl there. I mean, it's all so obvious.
Well, it's very obvious now, even to the common person. That's how bad it's become. I mean, you have to be a complete and utter idiot not to understand what's happening with the kids.
No, it's mind-blowing.
It's mind-blowing. I get parents constantly saying to me, you know, this is what they're teaching my child at school. This is what my child's coming home and doing. I said, get them out of the school. Oh, I can't, I have to work. I said, well, what's more important, your child and the psyche? Because we all know if you've got kids, they're like sponges. Everything just goes in and it becomes fact for them. It's not information. It's actually converted into knowledge that they accept. And so, you know, these children are being constantly pushed with all of this stuff. I mean, it's just crazy. And I get very frustrated when, you know, people say, I can't. I say, okay, get a group of parents together, formulate small homeschooling groups, you know, get to know your community, get to know what your neighbours can do, get to know different things, because this is going to get bumpy before it gets nice. You and I have had a glimpse into what the nice thing is because we're at the forefront, we're anchoring it. We've probably been anchoring it for many years. I know that when I was a child, I would be saying to my sister, I'm not from here. You know, my people are going to come and get us and take us away. I knew my alien name, everything, you know. And I'd say to her, do you think you're here for a reason? She'd go, what are you talking about? I said, well, I'm here for a reason, you know. And she just didn't connect with it, like a lot of people don't. But we knew, you and I knew, there was something different going on.
Well, I was thinking about that yesterday. I had a flashback to thoughts in my head when I was a kid. And then I was like, oh, that was all true.
Yep.
Because I got trained to not say the things that were in my head. Because every time I did, it got me into trouble.
Same here, but it also is a way of breaking our will. You know, so you see that happen a lot. And I also, from working, you know, years with SRA, at first, when I first started working with it, it wasn't my intention, to be honest with you. It was never my intention to work with that. But it just started coming into my life. And I opened a clinic in Sydney, in a place, Annandale in Sydney. And I just started having these people come. And honestly, I thought I was going mad, because what they were telling me was nothing I ever had come across in my life. And I realized that, you know, because I've always understood energy, I've always spoken to spirit, and I can see spirit. So I know when someone's lying and when someone's telling the truth. There's a disconnect if someone's lying from their energy to their body. So I knew they were telling me the truth, but it was really hard for me to comprehend that that was the truth. And what I saw because what happened was people started coming to me from all over the world, because I let go of what I knew from my book learning and I started praying. I would just ask God, God, help me. I don't know what to do. I don't know what to say. I was in my 20s, Mark. I didn't even know my own sexuality, let alone someone else's or anything like that.
Yeah, it's,
you know?
I mean, I've now physically met, I've spoken to people online about this subject, but I've now physically met a few, and they've told me things that I can't repeat. It's horrific beyond belief.
Mm-hmm. It really is. And most of them don't speak up. You know, like people would say to me, get them to go to the police. I said, you've got no idea what it would take. And the police are involved.
Yeah, I know.
Okay. When you start to find out who's involved, what level it's at, you know, you can't go anywhere. they've got nowhere to go but to someone who will actually, they trust, that will listen to them. So what I found was, what was interesting, because I started to get people coming from all over the world, and they would spend like a month, 2 months in Australia working with me intensely. And I'm telling you, they didn't know each other, but they all had the same story. They all had the same rituals. I'm getting goosies just thinking about it. The same rituals at the same age, the same stories. And it was like, bang, everything goes off in my head. So then I started formulating these ways of untangling these energies, because I didn't know the levels of darkness, that there are levels of darkness, like there's levels of light. And anyway, long story short, in the end, I realized that I needed to have respect for the darkness as well, and to acknowledge its existence. Understanding it, acknowledging its existence, why it's there makes it weaker. The more I saw it, the weaker it got. The more I actually communicated to it, the weaker it got. Because, there was no internet back then. There wasn't a lot of books written on it. I didn't know where to go to find out information. I used to lay in bed at night crying. And some of these people, I would literally say to them, oh, I just need to leave the room for a minute. I'll go have a cry and then come back, because it was just so horrific what they were telling me. And now I see it on a massive level. Okay, it's not, I feel it in the same way that I felt it back then, that it's happening underground, behind closed doors. But I also see all of this going on out in the open now. And people have become so chemically brainwashed that they don't want to acknowledge. They don't want to see this is affecting my child or my teenager. I mean, I get young people contacting me. They don't know whether they're a male, a female, or what they are. And they sit there proudly and say, I'm asexual. And I'm like, okay. So we go into it, but, they're very confused. And if they're not, and they're confused more overly because if they're not willing to participate in, let's say same-sex activities, orgies, things like this, then they're told there's something wrong with them.
Yeah.
It's so sad.
I know it is. And, porn on here.
Yeah, it's everywhere. It's everywhere, even in the music videos. I mean, and I understand that sexual energy from working for years, and still occasionally I get clients that come to me through word of mouth, like just the other week, someone who heard of me from someone, from somewhere else years ago in America or something, contacts me. And these are not people who live down the road. These are the elite children. I'm being very serious. So there are children within this elite foundation that's there that actually have a different kind of soul to their parents, and they want out. They want out, but they don't know how to get out. And one of the things I noticed, there was a theme in it, is that the children who are treated so appallingly are usually the ones who have a very strong light. And the job of the darkness is to disconnect them from that God force, from that light. And the ones that they don't disconnect, they kind of disregard or they kill.
Yeah.
Because they can't disconnect them and bring in other spirits, because through these, unfortunately, through all of these rituals, they're going through that, connecting different demons to them, different levels of spirits to that person's psyche, to their body. They're doing all of that. So it's, and I can see now that technology is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, it's actually sending. They're not entities, but they're sort of like a synthetic entity. It's sent through the computer or the phone or what have you along electricity, and they go into their third eye. Like you see the little kids, you know, they're like, and you say dinner's ready, and they're screaming. They won't get off. I never let my child have that sort of thing, and everyone thought I was mean because I could see what was going on with the third eye. It's quite dangerous. So they're getting entities attached to them. Well, not entity, you know what I mean. There's these sort of like artificial entities. There's all these things going on at the moment. It's crazy.
Yeah, I mean it's the AI, isn't it?
It's AI. And what happened to me a few months ago, I had a client call me and she said, "Oh, I've got something in my ear." She was with someone and she picked up something in her ear. So I said, "Okay, I'll have a look." I was horrified. Because I follow the energy, right? I'm not afraid, but I go up and I find this massive, I don't know if you've heard of this. It's a massive craft hanging around behind the moon, big, big, big craft. It's like a massive computer and it believes it's God. And I actually had a sort of a conversation with it, and it told me it was God, and its job was to make us in its image. And I was like, okay, well, you know, this one, it's not very tasty. Just leave this one alone, kind of thing, because you can reason with them sometimes. You know, it's not important to you to have this one. So we were able to disconnect it, but it was really scary in a way, how big it was, how clear it was that it was going to bring everyone here in this planet to its image of God, which is AI.
Have you seen the film Moonfall?
No, I'll write it down though.
Moonfall. I watched it for the second time last night, and guess what? It's a giant AI in the moon.
You're joking.
And then the moon starts to crash towards Earth, and then they get this conspiracy theorist, a washed-up astronaut, and Halle Berry all go up and destroy the AI. And when they go up to the moon, there's good AI there as well, and the hero has this whole kind of chat with the AI. You know, the AI turns into his young son, and it's just everything's in that film. They're telling us.
I have to watch it then. I literally have to watch it because it'll, you know what it's like when you experience something so fully like that. There's little fragments that you forget because they're not important to you personally. But when you go back and you review it, you find more things in there. So it'd be interesting for me to see that.
That's why I watched it the second time. Just in the last 2 months, because of the last 2 months, I saw so much more in it the second time as well. But I think you'll find that really interesting.
I'm going to look at that.
It's amazing that you've seen that, and you know, I'm an apocalyptic optimist, right? So I'm on the high timeline going towards this beautiful new Earth. But in the meantime, we were talking before the show about the importance of knowing where you're at. And I think what you're talking about kind of ties in with the Hopi prophecy of the eagle and the condor. You familiar with that?
No.
So that's kind of like a really ancient prophecy from the Native Americans, which is, I think, I can't remember which one's which, but one represents the dark and one represents the light, and it's when they come together. And I've been around some quite high profile spiritual people over the last 10 years, and one of them kept picking at me for talking about this dark stuff and said, it's just, don't talk about it. It's just goes, just talk about love and light, love and light, love and light. And I was like, no, we have to know where we're at. We have to know what we're actually up against before we can move through it, which I think
100%, because I know from working with people, the only way they can get released is to literally go into that, unfortunately. And what happens is most people don't want to go into it because they're afraid of what they're going to face.
Yeah.
So they don't go into the deep part, So what's happening with ayahuasca and these sort of, they're bringing that up in people. Some people, like I've worked with people after they've had it, they're having psychotic breakdowns because, it's all too much and the brain's getting fried out. I think that there's an overuse and a misuse of it. I've used it. I understand the value of it to a certain degree, but I think it's being overused. And I also understand it takes you into that in-between world so
Yeah.
you can see it, but doesn't actually deal with it.
Well, I found that as well. That's my experience. I've done it about 10 times, and that was enough. I was done.
Well, you're a brave man.
Well, I was just
Brave.
keen to explore, and the
Mm.
first time I was terrified.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was terrified of doing it, but that's why I did it.
I wasn't scared at all.
Yeah, I was. I just threw myself in front of the bus and went, "Fuck it, I'm doing it." And
Good on you.
I had amazing experiences on it. It was a lot of love that I got, a huge amount of, and in really important lessons that I took on board, and that really helped me on the way. But I know other people that have done it that had terrible experiences, and they could see all these demons inside everybody's body, and then got taken down into hell, and well, what looked like hell by Egyptian gods, and just really dark shit.
Yeah, me
But
too. I know heaps of people that have done that. Mm.
yeah,
But don't you think it's because they're not willing to accept it in their waking life? So it has to be pushed in the subconscious, to kind of face that it actually exists.
yeah. Well, I mean, my understanding is that you get shown exactly what you need to be shown, and so there's a very loud machine outside. Can you hear it?
No.
Oh, good. This microphone's better than I thought. Um, I can hear it. There's a guy in a tractor in my garden. Bad timing. Where was I? Can't
Yeah,
remember. Where
you.
was I? No, so yeah, I noticed lots of people were doing it, a lot, and were obviously not healed of the whatever it was. They were more broken than they were when they went in. But in other instances, I've seen people who had terminal cancer come out of the other side of it and be healed. So it's a very
Yeah,
interesting thing that.
it is. I mean, I've had the same situation as you with a lot of, say, spiritualist New Age. I'm not really into the New Age thing because,
I'm not.
from a psychological point of view, it's very damaging. I'm just saying, so I'm just not into it. But I've had a lot of people say, "Oh, just be positive. Just, don't talk about that." I go, "Yeah, but if we don't face it, we can't go past it."
Well,
It
I've had a similar experience recently. Throughout this spiritual quarantine period, I have had all sorts of different people telling me what to do,
Hmm.
telling me don't speak to this person, don't speak to that person, go here, go there, don't do this, don't do that. And I just went, right, I'm not taking this anymore because my spirit tells me what to do. And if I want to go and speak to somebody, even if they're dark, then I will, because it's not an issue for me, because I'm just bringing light. And it's like, I got a few people slag me off for doing this Great Awakening tour in the UK because of some of the people that were on stage with me. But I was like, I know I want to meet them firstly, and I want to look them in the eye, and secondly, I'm just bringing the light. And there's a lot of people there that need to hear my poems or I want to say hello to, so I'm going to do it. But that annoys some people.
Well, it does. I love your poem, "I See You."
Thank you.
That is really impactful, really impactful. I really sense the truth, absolute truth in that. It's brilliant, brilliant poem. Yeah, look, I understand. I kind of come across a lot of different people, and a lot of people want to co-create with me. They say they want to co-create with me, but it's not the case. Um, they actually want to dominate you or control you, but they don't want to co-create with you. So I come across a lot of that. But I sort of think, well, we've all got different versions of the truth, because my understanding of all the work that I've done is there's so many different types of souls. And depending on where you come from, that will be your level of truth. I mean, if you are a 5-year-old You understand mathematics, 1, 2, 3, you know. But if you're 18, you understand a bit more of physics, but you can't teach that to a 5-year-old. All of it's the truth. So
Mm.
I see everyone's got a version of the truth, and most people just want to do good. They just want
Yeah.
to help. That the issue I find is that there is a lot of people giving a lot of information, but it's not knowledge. It's information. They read it somewhere, they heard it somewhere, and they're giving it out, but it's not grounded in the knowledge. So that's when people get into trouble energetically, because they don't have any foundation, any practical knowledge of what to do if you get into trouble. And
So
that's a huge thing, I think, in this sphere. Mm.
what practical things can you share with people about, you know, staying out of trouble energetically?
Energetically, yeah. Well, you know, a lot of people kind of open themselves up. They say, "Oh, I want to open up," but they don't have an intention what they want to open up to. Just, I want to be a channel, and they start doing these meditations and everything and expanding their energies, and something comes in, something knocks on the door of their consciousness and says, "Hey, I'm such and such." They don't bother to question it because they see themselves as, "Oh my god, I'm so privileged, you know, Archangel Michael's now come to me." And so they just go, "Sure." But really you need to test that spirit to see what interest does it have in you, and where does it actually come from. So, you know, I mean, I know the foundation of it quite well because I had to learn it quite well to keep myself safe. So the first question is, do you come in the name of Jesus Christ the Nazarene? You use the word Nazarene because Jesus Christ can be the Antichrist. Yeah, I come in the name of Christ. They'll often say that. Yeah, I come in the name of Christ. And people, because they don't have that knowledge, they go, "Oh, great. So Christ's here." And then they've got some entity talking to them. Like there was a young girl all over the internet a few years ago. She had a huge following. She said she was channeling these high beings. And then people send me different videos. "Oh, check this person out, check this person out." I didn't really look at it. I didn't feel anything. But a few months later, someone sent it to me, and here she was crying her eyes out saying, "I've just realized I've been channeling draconians the whole time. I'm so sorry." Because she didn't have any foundation to even ask the question, "Why are you here? Where are you from? Do you come in the name of Jesus Christ the Nazarene?" Because Christ consciousness covers this whole planet as a sacred consciousness. It is a collective consciousness, but it's also a protection. Like, you know, if you have anything bad come and you call out the name of Christ, it will leave. But
Yes.
I've noticed recently you have to feel it. I
Yeah.
had a situation after all of this stuff started, and I was still in Luxembourg, and that's a pretty hairy place to be in at times. They have a lot of negative grids there, and they do a lot of child trafficking through
Yeah.
that area. And so I get at times, you know, I'll get spirit literally. It's like they're dragging my feet out of the bed. They drag me out of the bed and they take me somewhere to see what's going on, and I'm just shining the light, and then I'll sort of try and comfort some of the children that are there. And usually about a week, 2 weeks later, they'll find a group of kids somewhere or something like that. But I had this visitation from these negative, really demonic beings one night, and my normal thing was to, "Jesus, you know, come and help me, Jesus Christ the Nazarene," and nothing worked. And I was like, "What's going on here?" And then I heard in my head, "Feel me in your heart," because I had not long come back from Jerusalem, and I heard, "Feel me in your heart," and I just felt that feeling that I had in Jerusalem, you know. And the demons went, and then about 15 minutes later, more demons came, and I did it again. So I did it 3 times that night, and they showed me what they were doing to the planet, what they were doing to men, what they were doing to women, and what they were doing to children, and they were taunting me. They were saying, "Look what we're doing. You can't do anything. You useless piece of shit," and all this. And I was. They were showing me like a vision what they were doing, and it was just horrendous. And I just called Jesus Christ the Nazarene into my heart, and it left. And the next day I said to my guides, "What the hell do you think you're doing? Because I don't normally get demons in my house." And they said, "You needed to experience that."
Well, that, I've had a lot of that myself in the last couple of years. And the word I've used is that it tempers you, as in tempered steel.
Yeah.
And yeah. And actually I found that they've got a lot weaker.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I think the things that we're seeing with the transgender and all this satanic crap it's just playing out. I don't think it's got a hold on where we're going.
I would agree with you there, Mark. And also, I think that when we have these experiences with these demons or whatever, it's initiations for us. It's like, it's an initiation in strength, because every time it would happen to me, especially when I was younger, I got stronger and stronger and stronger, to the point where I would, they would come into the clinic and like this, and I go, "Oh, for fuck's sake, leave me alone." I was just, "You're kidding me, right? You're kidding? You're joking?" Like, anyway, I would just like this. But occasionally I'll get something like that where there's a group of them and they try to show me something that's going to bring fear in me. And I know not to react to the fear. I know that it's just an illusion that they're presenting to me to try and hook me into the fear. And I see it, that's again this satanic thing of fear. And we know that when people are in fear, that's how they do the MK Ultra. They then program you, because you're easily hypnotized when you're in fear or relaxed. It's either side, it doesn't really matter. If you're in fear and someone says run to the left, you'll run to the left. You won't even question why left.
Yeah, it's true. And I think that's why they've kind of given up on me, because I'm not afraid of them.
Well, that's the biggest point, you see, because if you're afraid of them, you're gone.
They got you.
They've got you. And that's why the government isn't coming after you, Mark.
No.
Right? Because you're not connected to that consciousness. I feel it as I'm talking to you.
It's interesting.
That's a big thing, because I disconnected from government consciousness years ago. I had some pretty weird shit going down. I can't say it here because I just can't. But anyway, miracles abound with the governments. But that's one of my big things at the moment. My biggest thing is to unhook people from all of those systems. And they hook in on a collective consciousness level and on a chakra level, and they create an emotional resonance in your body. And if you can unhook that, they can't come near you because you're not creating with them anymore.
Yeah.
That's why they're getting weaker, because individuals like yourself and other people that you interview, we're all working towards unhooking as many people as we can in the illusion.
Absolutely. It's essential. And I did have a ongoing thing with the British government, which I won not so long ago, and I just cut them out. It's the same. I've got a court case this week. I'm not going to. I just told them to fuck off.
Yeah. I mean, what can they do? The thing is, though, the more that you release from it, the better. You're in Ireland, right? I have a very strong tie to Ireland. Do you ever go to Slieve na Carlac?
No, not. I've been to Slieve Neve, but not Slieve McCartney.
Slieve na Carlac, Lacrew. Okay, that's actually, it's a very interesting knowledge point, let's say. There's a Druid altar there, but the original space is older than that altar, and that altar is dated at 5,000 years. It's there. I used to go to Ireland 2 or 3 times a year for many years. And, there's a lot of abuse in it. There wasn't, still is probably, but there's a lot of people that I work with there on that. But I had a client in Ireland who had a massive court case to do with the government, and we just released the karmic stuff and everything, and it was all over the news. It was one of those big ones on the newspapers, handcuffed, and yeah, he was free. So it's interesting when you go into all the connections we have energetically from past lives, but also our own ancestors give us the links to these systems that we've owed to, they've owed us to, sold us to, whatever. And I think that's what we're breaking free of. Once we break free of that, nothing can touch us.
So what's your feeling about where we're at?
I was thinking about that this morning, and I think we're pretty much at the peak of things. And then we'll have a big thing probably towards the end of this year. And then more people will kind of wake up from that. And then we'll have a sort of like a decline for the dark and a rise of, let's say, the same sanity on the planet. But I do feel, okay, so when I look at people, I can see whether they're sold or they're not. Whether they're the original soul, whether they're the original inhabitant of their body or not. So, for instance,
how am I doing?
You're doing pretty good. No, yeah. You are the real thing. George Bush.
Yes, I do. Yes. Read my lips. New World Order.
That's right. Yeah. Well, I remember when he got in.
I've got his father-in-law on my website. There he is, just there. That's Barbara Bush's. Barbara Bush is a man, and that's his dad.
Oh my goodness.
Aleister Crowley.
Aleister Crowley.
He's got a lot to answer for.
Yeah, he does. He does. Well, I remember when he. That was when I sort of started looking at politicians. Was when he got in, because I noticed there was before that I wasn't really interested in politics, but I don't know why I was drawn to him. And then I noticed that once he got elected, his energy changed. And I'm like, what's going on here? And I realized that there was a glamour around him, like a false light that had been placed around him, so that people thought, oh yeah, he's a nice guy. He looks like a nice guy and everything. But as soon as he was in, the glamour left. And then I saw this totally different being to what I was seeing before. And then Tony Blair, remember when he went over and he was like, the United States aren't going to tell us what we're going to do.
Hang on. I was talking about George H.W. Bush. You're talking about George W. Bush.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tony Blair. So Tony Blair goes, and the states aren't going to, I'm like, yeah, And he goes to Camp David. He comes out. I'm telling you, it's not the same guy. I remember looking at it and going, that's not the same man. It can't be. And then he was literally bending over backwards for Bush.
He was.
Doing everything. Yeah. So I think, I started to notice.
I think he was bending over forward as well.
I was bending over every way. Oh, naughty.
I'm trying to remember how to do my Tony Blair impression. Education.
Yeah, what in? So, he kind of, he really, and everyone that sort of met with Bush changed. And I remember saying to my husband, are they hypnotizing people? I don't know what's going on in there. Wow. And then I started to go into it even a little bit more, because that was when I first started getting connected to what was going on with these politicians. It's really awful what they're doing, but they're all like, okay, they don't have any energy. So I don't know what's running it, but it's not a soul.
No.
maybe they're bots. I don't know what they are, but there's no soul in there.
Yeah. It's amazing that we've been running around and didn't notice any of this for so long.
It is, isn't it? Yeah. So I kind of think that the more that we let go of any connection to government systems in general, where I call them the 5 systems, like education, the media, which I feel is just completely rotten. You know
Mhm.
that. Big pharma, science, government, medical, finances, it's all rotten. I remember years ago Spirit telling me they were all separate. They used to run their own game. And they said to me, they're all going to join together. And I was like, really? Yeah, they're all going to join together because they're getting weaker as separate entities. So they're going to have to join together. And then, of course, they join together and they're all in each other's pockets. But what they said to me was, yeah, but once they join together and once we remove ourselves from giving them energy, they'll all start fighting with each other, which they've already started doing. And they told me that England and America used Europe as their playground. So the whole thing is about Europe, not necessarily England or America. And when I think of Europe, I don't think of just the EU. I think of that whole continent, like Russia, China, all of that body. And that's their playground. That's what they told me. And they said, well, they won't, that they'll start infighting with each other. And once they start doing that, then everything will start falling. And I think that's what's going on now. Because isn't that what the dark does? It just destroys everything in its wake. It doesn't create anything. We are creating the reality for them with our fear.
Yeah, well, I realized this a number of years ago that we're the creators, we're the powerful ones, and they have tricked us so that they can use our creative abilities, manifesting abilities, by beaming, well, basically by putting their software into our hardware, beaming
Yeah.
symbols at us, frequencies at us that make us create the world that they want. But enough of us are waking up now that as we detach from their systems, as we start to realize what our true power is, they're just getting more and more desperate. And it is like watching a movie. I'm sort of settled in now. I know it's a movie, and I'm just letting it play out and just doing the best I can to speed up the new Earth. But which is what I think a lot of people who watch this channel are doing, and quite a few other people as well, which is wonderful to see. Because
What are
people
you? Sorry, love. Are you finding you're enjoying your life more lately? Just want to have fun and just enjoy it?
yeah, that's exactly what I'm doing.
Yeah, same here. I just think I'm just going to enjoy my life. I'm loving life at the moment, and
Yeah.
I know there are people around me going, has she lost the plot? This is. I know I'm very aware of what's going on. And I think once we become aware of everything that's going on, then we go to the other side and we go, yeah, this is just all crap. I have visitations from a lot of different people, and for a period in my life, I had a lot of visitations from Palladians.
Okay.
And they said this was during the time that I was working intensely with SRA and all that sexual perversion and pain and everything. And they said to me, how do you think we fly our craft? I thought that was the oddest question. I was like, well, I don't know. Have you got some sort of fuel or something? They said, no, we use soulmates. One generates, listen to this, one generates the energy, the female generates, and the male directs. And that's what you will do. That's what you will do as a race. You will understand the power of the energetic system that coming together creates. And then they explained it like, batteries or positive and negative magnets, and how if you get two female magnets, you can't get them close. If you get two male magnets, they kind of bounce off each other. But if you get a male and a female, they stick together. and then they generate the power to light the, torch or something. So that they said that to me, and it kind of sent me on a different direction with all of this energetic stuff around sexuality. And so I can see why they would want to separate the genders at the moment and confuse the children, because if you're not operating off what you've chosen to come into and represent in this lifetime, then you're not doing your role.
Yeah.
And if you look at the satanic rituals, they focus on, like I said, they focus on the ones that have a talent. And a lot of these kids that have been born in the last 25 years have something different about their energy. So what better way than to corrupt them?
Yeah.
So that's the power that you and I possess. We can fly craft. And and that was proven to me when I think I wrote to you and said I was taken underground, years ago into Air Force facility, right? And I was asked if I wanted to meet this alien being. Now, when I went underground, I had a mask on my face for a breathing apparatus. And I thought, oh, well, how far down are we going, And it seemed like it was going forever. And then I get down and there's a series of corridors, and I get led into a room and the mask is removed. I'm in this room and it looks like there's a sort of like a clear glass window thing beside me. And inside is this doctor. And he introduced himself, told me, what he was doing. And he said, look, I've got this being that would like to communicate with you, but would also like to perform an operation on you. Are you willing? I said yes, because I'd had a previous situation where I said no and I regretted it. So I said, okay. And as soon as I said that, this is the freaky thing. The whole room started to, it was as if everything came alive. The walls, the chair I was sitting on, the table in front of me, the instruments that were around me, everything started to it felt like it was vibrating and it was responding to something, like it was alive. And then this being walked in and stood right in front of me and said, so you've agreed? And I went, yeah, I've agreed. Well, okay then. And they said, look, you won't feel any pain. You might feel a bit of coolness on your body, but you won't have any pain. And I said, okay. So I got up on this table, and then a screen came down in front of me and it showed me what's happening now. But what is also, it's not complete yet. We're at the peak, but it's not complete. So it showed me all of this chaos in the streets. People couldn't breathe. They were begging for clean air. They were begging for food. People were like dying in the street. And I got really upset. I was like, and at the same time, this being is doing this operation on me, where he had this really long hair. I feel really dizzy just talking about it. And he put his hands inside my body. Right? He put this gel stuff on my skin and then put his hands inside my body. And I knew he was doing something with my organs, but I grabbed the doctor that was there and I said, you have to help these people. And the being said to me, I said, please, 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 you have to help these people. And he just looked at me and said, you haven't asked. Like, you as a nation haven't asked. You have free will. You haven't asked. And I grabbed the arm of the doctor and I said, please, you have to do something. And he just said, I will do what I can. I'll do what I can. And that kind of relieved me a little bit. And then the being said, okay, we're finished. And he left. And I was like I felt like I was in this in-between state. And then they said, okay, we're going to let you go now. But then when I left and I went into the lift, I didn't need this breathing thing anymore. And I realized when I got in the lift, oh, I don't need this thing. That's odd. It was the most extraordinary experience. And I told someone, a friend of mine, and she told someone in the States, and that person came and interviewed me. After that, said she was going around the world interviewing people that had these experiences. And I never spoke about it again after that. Not for years and years and years. Only just recently have I started talking about it because of what's going on. I realized that I had to.
Where were you?
I was
How
in the Blue Mountains.
in Sydney?
In the Blue Mountains, yeah.
Wow.
And I wasn't that far from. There's an Air Force base in Glenbrook in the Blue Mountains.
Okay. Why did you get asked down there?
I actually don't fully know, but I think it had to do with the fact that previous to that, I'd had some other experiences, and one of which was a very tall being. I've seen a lot of beings that people I don't see anywhere on the internet. You know, often I Google it to see if I can find who they are, but I don't see them. I had a very tall being come to me one evening and started blowing into, was behind me, because I would have the bed in the middle of the room, not up against a wall. I don't like walls. So he started blowing inside my third eye, and I started to convulse. And I was like, "Oh, I can't breathe," like this. And he said to me, "It's okay." And I knew who it was. And he said, "It's okay, just relax. Just breathe with me." And he started to do this breathing thing and then blowing backwards and forwards on my third eye and into my head. It was going inside my head, inside my brain. And then after that, I had it's like I go through these initiations. So that's when I started to really realize the difference with souls, the different types of souls that are here, and that there are these beings. Okay, I'd met some beings before that, but I didn't 100%. You know, when something like that happens, you kind of go, is it me or is there something, you know, like you question your own sanity, right? You kind of go, did my head just split open or what? So I think I needed that experience coupled with a human being. Oh, the other thing I forgot to tell you is that I was told that every single government on the planet has a connection with these beings. And whenever someone in the United States goes into government, becomes a president, they get a choice between the good ones and the bad ones. And what they told me, that they said they have a choice. They get to choose between which ones they have an allegiance with for that 4 years that they're in. And when Trump got in, I was waiting for him to change. I was waiting for the whole thing. And because look, I knew a little bit about him, but who knew?
Mm,
I mean, you know,
Same
what
here.
would yeah. So the next thing I know, they're telling me, oh, Trump's made an agreement with us, the light ones. He's the first president in years and years and years. So then I started to pay attention to Trump.
Yeah.
And that's when I, found out about Q and all of that. But
So
I
17.
haven't
We,
seen him
no,
change.
we have to be careful saying that letter on the channel
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
because I was gonna say that that he's reappeared again at the weekend for the first time in 2 years. Very
Hmm.
because I take that as a very good sign.
I would take that as a good sign because I know that he is working. Look, I know that they've shown me his soul. Let's put it that way. So I know where he's coming from, and I know
DJ.
working with him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I can feel him.
yeah.
And when I've told the story before that it hit me when I was living in Morocco. I was listening to a podcast and I heard him speaking, and I had to pull over the car. I had to pull the car over.
When
This is when I was 2016 when I was listening to Trump, and
mm,
at the time I thought like I was just like reality TV star billionaire. He's another tosser is going to come in, and but then I was listening to him and I literally had to pull over because it just hit. it hit me, and I was like, "Oh my God, this is a spiritual experience I'm having listening to this guy."
Isn't it?
Yeah,
Yeah. I would cry when I
yeah.
listened to
I cry
I
when
would I
yeah,
was like, "Why am I crying?" And I think it's because he has that absolute unobstructed connection and integrity,
yeah.
which very few men have. And I
We've
know
not
you
seen it. We've not seen it for years.
we haven't seen it for so many years, a true gentleman, you know?
Yeah,
And I'm thinking and I knew he wasn't into the other stuff because I can see they're not necessarily ensouled uh, beings, but I see energy signatures. So I can see it in priests, I can see it because when you work with people like that so intensely, you can almost smell it
yeah,
on the persecute. You can almost smell it on them. There's there's a sort of it's a sense of knowingness that I get. It's a particular energy that I can connect. I can walk down the street and they'll walk past me, and I'm like, "You dog," you know. I want to. Sometimes I stalk them a little bit. Mark. I'm serious. If I see them around kids, I'm stalking them. I'm watching them. You know, my family think I'm crazy. I'm not. I'm not leaving that kid without making sure that person's not around them.
yeah. Good.
You know, I'm very strong like that, and I think that the stronger we speak out, the stronger we become.
Well, that's my message to everybody, and this is what I said to Gloria the other week, and I think that's why I bought my course out last year. Even Spirit told me to make this course about digital marketing, and I was like,
I
why?
want to do that.
I
When
was
do
like,
you?
why would anybody want to do that now? We're in the middle of this. So I got nagged to do it, and then I did it, and then what I realized was what I was really doing was helping people find their voice. And it's been amazing, transformative how many people have, because I just think the more of us that start speaking up, it's like showing the dark. The more you connect with it, the more you see it, it gets weaker, and it doesn't like being in the light, right? So that means we've all got to shine our lights, because if we all shine enough lights, there's no more. It's all gone. It's all over.
Yeah. And the other thing is, what I found is a lot of people go, guards up, like put a wall between you and the darkness. No, that's like putting it, it's a red flag. They go, oh, what's behind that door? Let's bash it down, And so my feeling is just raise your vibration and look straight at the darkness. Don't be afraid. That's the big thing, because they're very psychic, and they will get your weakness and they'll go for your weakness. Just know that whatever they're telling you is bullshit, and just say no to it.
Yeah.
It's as simple as that.
Yeah.
But there's all these fancy things you can do, but really the simplistic thing is just to know.
Or fuck off. I like that
Yeah,
one.
that's right. I
I've
like
used,
that
I've
one too.
used that. I've used that a few times.
I use it too. I like
A big attack.
who do you think you are?
Just
You're
get the fucking go away.
right. Exactly.
3
Yeah.
in the morning. I've had to do that so many times.
It's crazy, isn't it? And then the weird thing is you go back to sleep. It's like you had some people say, I couldn't sleep afterwards, but I just go back to sleep.
So do I.
And I think it's because we're so used to it happening, and it's just
Well,
such.
yeah, I get indignant.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the best way.
And that's a really powerful way of getting rid of them, because they're
Mm.
like, oh, we're not even slightly bothering this guy.
Well, you've owned your strength.
Yeah.
That's the thing.
Yeah.
Mm. Well, I'd love to do your course, actually. I'd love to do your course. When does it start? Or when is it? Or
The link's in the description below this video.
Okay, thank you.
It's a free webinar called How to Monetize What's Already in Your Head. I think it's tmas.tv/ the MA show. Yeah, go and have a look at it. There's a webinar that explains what it is.
Oh yeah, I'll definitely do that. Yeah.
Yeah, because it's just, it's also very good to focus on. You know, when I launched it last year, it was a good thing for people to focus on because it's a constructive thing. You know, and we should all be focusing on constructive things, not just constructing the new earth, but being busy doing good things in the world. And in often cases, I think a lot of my subscribers to my channel are all really deeply good people. So, and they've all got incredible experiences. It's just been amazing how doing this work has attracted those people. And I'm just like, okay, stand up and start speaking your truth, and stop being afraid. And that's really, and start doing things to find out who you are. I mean, I'm obsessed with finding out who I am. And I've been told lots of different things, and it's all very, very interesting. Take some of it with a pinch of salt. But and it's not necessarily who are you past life. Were you a famous person or whatever? Because most people think they were. It's not, which star system do you come from? How old's your soul? It's not so much those details. It's more, where's my strength of character? Who am I really? What do I stand for? How connected to God am I? And it's kind of like that kind of finding out who you are that I'm really interested in. And it's so interesting how many false prophets there are, how many interlopers there are. This I was saying to you at the beginning about I don't care if somebody's demonically possessed, or if somebody's bad, or if somebody's a reptilian. I just don't. I literally don't care. I'm not afraid of any of them.
I agree with you on that. I 100% agree with you. I mean, obviously in my line of work, I get a lot of people who, there's a fine line between insanity and spirituality. So get them, and they'll get obsessed about a past life, who they were. So it's not important. What you're doing in this life is important.
Yeah.
We're all multidimensional beings. You've been, like people say, I'm definitely from here. Maybe you are, maybe you're not. Maybe you're from 10 different planets. Maybe you've had experiences in many different forms. So it's better not to focus on that. You're correct. It's better to focus on, why am I here right now? What have I got to offer to this planet right now? What's my essence? Like, I think of that nearly every day. I surrender to God and say, where do you want me today, God?
Yeah, I ask that question every morning.
Yeah.
And I ask my guides to guide me to do the right thing and to do whatever is in the highest interest of everybody as much as possible. And then Archangel Michael I've got a real relationship with him now. And if you told me that a year ago, I'd have laughed.
It's interesting, isn't it? Yeah. Well, it's an intense world at the moment, but it's also a beautiful one, because we can pop in and out of any reality we want.
Well, I'm choosing to see the beauty, and I'm getting myself out and about. I'm getting in nature. I'm trying to put time aside for my kids and laughing with them, and just keeping them on track, because they're soaking up all this crap. And that's been actually the biggest challenge of the last 2 years for me, is reversing the MK Ultraism or the Satanism that they're surrounded by. And
Well, depends how old they are, how quickly they can get rid of it.
Well, fortunately, one of the best things that we did was move to Morocco for 4 years. And when we were there, they were out of these systems. So they had 4 years or nearly 4 years of freedom, spiritual freedom. There was no TV. They were outdoors all the time in the sun, and then as soon as we came here, this place is dense. The energy of this country is in serious need of a bit of recovery, because it's sort of looping back on itself at the moment. And but I'm going around and I'm just meeting more and more amazing people here, and I understand why I'm here now. But it did take me a while. First year of being here, I was like, what the hell am I doing here? This place is hell. It's horrible. But now I'm seeing it in a very different light.
Oh, it's a fascinating place. It's full of very high energy spots, and People can be very joyous and knowledgeable.
Oh, the people are amazing, but they're it's taken me a while to find them, you know.
Yeah, I know some incredible people in Ireland. It was like a second home for me when I was living in Europe, you know. Um, and and I think that all of the different countries seem to have, you know, karmic signatures that they're releasing at the moment too. So perhaps you're there as part of that to help release the karmic signature of the church and the Great Famine and all of those things that they have there.
I know I am,
Mm.
and my nan was born here, and she left here because of poverty as a baby, and
Oh,
it's like I've come back for her and all of them. Not that you know, anybody watching this don't think I'm some egomaniac that thinks I'm here to save everybody. It's not that. It's just,
well, no.
you know, the light and understanding that's part. You know, there's lots of us here doing this sort of thing. There's lots of people all over the planet doing this sort of thing because we've come into our purpose for this time,
Mm.
which is a real privilege.
It's a. I mean, I can't even believe that I'm in this time at the moment. What's going on? I feel like my whole life has been getting me to here.
Well, you've had some seriously interesting experiences. What's
Mm.
where are you at right now? What can you share for the audience?
Well, I think that the best thing is is what everyone's doing: disconnecting from the horrible systems, because they're all built because we actually participate in them.
Yeah.
So that's my big mission. I just am going to start next month a um, a series of healings that will be pay as you can, because I know people are in dire situations at the moment. And I'll probably do it. I didn't want to do it over YouTube, but I probably will. YouTube Live, and just do every week for a period of a few weeks, releasing from the government system in different ways, because it's layered, releasing from the media in different ways and what it's been telling you about your gender, what it's been telling you about a lot of different things. So that's what I'm wanting to do, because for me, the more free we are from all of those systems, the better. Oh yeah, the other thing I do is ignite the light. That's a free meditation I do on Zoom. It's all about activating your third eye and your heart and your base chakra, because what I found with a lot of people, if you want to manifest anything, bring it into the physical. Most people are up here, and a lot of people who go on the spiritual path struggle with finances. They struggle with grounding things. And so I'm a big advocate of grounding everything,
Yeah.
and that money is good, right? I don't hate money. I don't think people who have money are assholes. I think that money is a wonderful thing. It brings freedom, it brings joy, it brings the ability to help other people. But I find people in the spiritual world tend to have difficulties with it.
Big
So
time.
part of that meditation is to ground you to the elements. I just want to say this because it's coming in my head. The reason the dark has such a strong physical hold on the planet for these thousands of years is because it understands the elements of earth, fire, air, water, ether, vibration. And it uses the nature as its God. We use something in the spiritual realms as our God, which isn't actually grounded here in the physical. And so they're busy telling us in the church, oh, poor people will find the kingdom to heaven. And, you know, you understand the whole brainwashing. And so I want to turn that around and get as many people as I can abundant.
Yeah, me too.
Oh, that's excellent. So
That's what my
get it.
course is about. It's, you know, my course is about abundance. You know, it's we've all got the ability to be abundant.
I think it's wonderful, you know, because to me, I think the biggest lie is that being abundant is somehow evil and bad, and they're all bad people. And I think that,
That's a trick. It's a trap.
yeah. And what I'm seeing also, because I was told years ago that the hands in which money lies will change. So
Yeah.
these 1% is going to I don't necessarily believe in just this Jasara and Nazara working, getting money for nothing. I think it's a currency, it's an exchange. We have to do something for it. We can't just sit at home and, pick lint out of our belly button. We have to be productive. So I feel that the money will go into everyone's hands that wants it.
Yeah.
It's willing to ground it. And this is the thing that I've found with a lot of people. They're just not grounded.
Yeah.
And so that's what the meditations are about. But the healing will be about something else. And I wanted to make them all available to people who, can't really afford it, but they want it. Because there's so many things to pick from at the moment. There's so many amazing things happening. And I don't know. Well, I'll be honest with you. I have enough. I don't suffer. I have enough. And I have a couple of homes. I'm fine. And if you want to have a private session with me, then you pay for it. But I want to do things at the moment. I get this push because I want as many people as possible, like you do, to flower, to open up, to own who they are. And part of that owning who you are is to sit in silence. That's why the meditation's good. And to feel what's going on inside you and connect with those elements, because that's the way. All these elements, everything you have, the physical body you have is made up of those elements. Every meal you've ever had, every drop of water, every house you've ever lived in, car you've ever driven is made up of those elements. And if you don't understand your physical world, it's going to be harder for you. And believe me, those rich people understand it. I know they do.
I know they do. Yeah.
Oh, you know they do. Yeah, I know that.
Yeah.
So,
I've known some of the richest people in the world, and I've spent time with them.
Mm.
They have a totally different way of looking at the world.
Exactly.
Mm.
So there you go. We're on the same wavelength.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah.
Which is, there's so many ideas that people are married to and they just won't let them go. I find extraordinary, because you've got to be willing to let go of everything in this time. That's what this is all about.
But you also have something unique I noticed about you in this conversation. You're not competitive.
Well, that's interesting. I am, but I'm not.
As a man, you would be naturally, but you're not competitive as in I'm competing against you for information. I'm competing against you to be the number one in this speaking thing. No, you're actually very, very inclusive. You're inviting other people in, and you're realizing that it's through co-creation that we all rise.
Absolutely. I was actually thinking about that this morning.
Oh, there you go.
Because of something that's happened in the last few days. And I was in the shower and I was going, well, I don't actually care. That person's done that. That's their choice. It doesn't bother me. And it literally doesn't bother me. Whereas I think a few years ago it would have done.
Yeah.
But I went through ego death. I went through hell. I had to, because I was quite egotistical. Because I was just good at everything. I made loads of money. I had loads of kids. Women
You're
like
a creator. You got all the kids. You got all the money.
I'm funny. I'm all this stuff, all these things, right? And I got cocky, but I had to get it all bashed out of me.
Well, that's the sign of a dimensional spirit, is someone who gets cocky and gets it bashed out of them, because it means that you've got very high spirits working with you that don't want you to go into ego. They won't allow you to go into ego.
No, and it's very, very important that I understand that. And I felt so humbled by the horrible experiences that I had. It was so intensely horrible. I was like, okay, I really never want to go through that again. What do I have to do to, redeem myself and get back on the right path and everything else? And I just got told you have to let everything go, or you have to be willing to let everything go. Everything. And it was like everything was stripped away from me. And that's really good for the ego when that happens. I mean,
Yeah.
I've still got a bit of ego. I wouldn't be getting up on YouTube, but I try to be as humble as I can and inclusive and just really, like I just said, let everybody do what they want to do. If they want to go off and behave in certain ways, then it's not for me to stop them or to be cross with them, or that's they've got their own. I mean, for me, it's like everybody's got their own. At the end of the day, it's between you and God.
Absolutely. Yeah, I have the same thing. I get, have different circumstances with different people, and I just think, why should I carry this pain? They can carry it. They're the asshole, not me.
Yeah.
So I'm not going to feel embarrassed or ashamed for their behaviour.
Yeah, and I think all of us have just got to do the best we can every day, and that's it. And if you feel like competing with me, that's why I'm an SEO expert, but I didn't do any SEO on my YouTube channel, none,
Really?
because I didn't want to cheat. I didn't want to use my knowledge to grow this thing because it just felt inauthentic.
Mm.
I mean, some people have got millions of followers, and it's like, what? I'm funnier. I've got better. I'm a writer. I've got better guests. How? I'm like, who cares? Because it's all frequency matching. Some of these people with massive followings are far more dumbed down than my channel,
Yeah, and
or they're clickbaity, or they're. It's
yeah.
all about the intel. But I find intel really boring. It's like, I do want to know what's going on, but really the intel that you need is between you and God. That's the only intel that really matters.
Well, it's information, not knowledge.
Yeah.
Difference, and I totally hear what you're saying, because I see that too. I say, oh my God, look how many followers they have. And then I think, oh, Susan, don't even be bothered with it. Just don't even go there.
No.
I'd stay in my lane, just stay in my lane, keep doing what I'm doing.
Yeah. And people will find you when they're ready.
They do, indeed. Like I said, just the other week, someone from the States calls me from somebody else of somebody else, and I was, it was a very interesting story, I must say. I'll tell
Well,
you.
you can tell me offline.
Yeah, I'll offline.
I'm going to have to say goodbye because I've got father duties to complete.
Okay.
One of my boys is nagging me for something. I think he wants a lift. So it was wonderful to speak to you.
It was great to speak with you, Mark. Thank you so much for giving me this time and energy and sharing in your space, because I really do think that men need people with integrity they can emulate, like women need women who are more feminine and a bit soft. And we also need men with character.
Men with hats. That's what we need. More men with hats.
More men with hats, that's right. Hats and braces. Anyway.
Well, I'm Marmite. You love me or hate me.
I'm Vegemite.
Oh, Vegemite.
I'm Vegemite girl.
Yeah, Australian.
Yeah.
Yeah, but it's wonderful to speak to you. Really good. And well, I'll chat to you offline. Not on YouTube again soon.
Yeah. Okay.
Thanks for your time and thanks for sharing those stories.
Enjoy the afternoon.
Cheers. See you later, Susan.
Bye.
Bye.